Let me now introduce you to Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel Laureate. Rabindranath Tagore, a poet, a philosopher, a writer, a playwright, and a person who has been acclaimed worldwide for his creativity. Sir Rabindranath Tagore is a Bengali by birth, and most of his writings were in Bengali, which were later translated into English and into other languages. He has been awarded by the Nobel Prize for his collection of anthologized poems and for his collection called Geetanjali. Sir Rabindranath Tagore is also acclaimed for giving to India its most prized possession, that is the national anthem. The national anthem of India, Jan Gan Man, has been given by Sir Rabindranath Tagore. Sir Rabindranath Tagore has written a poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, which I would be discussing. This poem has been quoted again over and over everywhere, in all esteemed gatherings, in all elite gatherings, in all gatherings where people of literature come, people from all religions come, and people from all over the world. Wherever they go, we find that people refer to Where the Mind is Without Fear. Jawaharlal Nehru also refers to this poem in many of his writings and in many of his speeches. Where the Mind is Without Fear, as the title suggests, it is a simple poem and written as a dream, as it is also written as a prayer to God by Sir Rabindranath Tagore, where he has a dream for his country, India, and where he wishes that the dream should come true after India gains independence. This poem was written before independence, and it is a dream that that is there in the heart of the writer and the poet, and what he wishes for free India, what he wishes for free country. It is a beautiful poem and it flows like a river. That is the beauty of this poem. I'll begin the poem and explanation simultaneously, and the poem begins by the lines, Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. As beautiful as it sounds, the meaning is also the same. He says, the poet says, where the mind is without fear. Now this is a dream that he sees after independence, how India should be like. India, the golden sparrow, India, the most celebrated country for its culture, for its richness, for its the wonderful bond between people, for its secularism, for its communities, for its knowledge, for everything that happened there, and that was the reason why India was called the Golden Sparrow. So he says, after India gets independence, and India got independence on 15th August 1947, he wishes that after the moment India gets independence, people should have a mind where the mind is without fear. A mind without fear is a free mind, where we would not be governed by a foreigner, where would not be governed by the Britishers, where the mind is fear, where the thinking of the people is free, where people can walk up proudly, feeling proud of their existence, not being governed by an outsider, and not being questioned for their existence. So where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. You know, people walk with the head held high only when they're proud of themselves, or only when they're proud of their achievements. So where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, we are proud of being whom we are. We are proud of being Indians. We are free and we are walking with our head held high because we are proud of our heritage. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, We all generally confuse the word education with knowledge. Education is something that we get when we go to the schools. Education is something that we pay for, and education is something that is given to us by various agencies. It begins from the home, it goes up till the school and the university level. But knowledge is something that doesn't come as education. Knowledge is the bank that a person has, the bank of experiences, the bank of morals, the bank of stories, the bank of all the assimilation of the data that he or she has, and that is being distributed to people. Now, as here I would like to give an example. If you talk of your grandparents may not be well educated, but they may be very knowledgeable. A person who's knowledgeable is not necessarily a person who's educated. And what we require today is knowledge. And education comes on its own. Education is mandatory, but knowledge is optional. So he wishes and he says that knowledge should be free. It should be given to everybody. Knowledge about technology, religion, about our country, about everything that's happening around us should be distributed to each and every person whom we meet in this free country, where knowledge is free and where the world has not been broken up into narrow domestic walls. Here, India was known as the Golden Sparrow. It had a lot of good things about it, but there were a few vices in India that had prevailed. And the vices, a few of the vices, to name a few, we had the caste system in India. The caste system that was not a very good system, in which we discriminated people on the basis of the caste, and we termed them as a Brahmin, as a Kshatriya, as a Shudra, as a person of low class, as a person of high class, as a person who was a warrior, or as a person who was a very, very knowledgeable person. On the basis of this caste system, there were divisions. The people were divided mentally, they were divided physically, they had their own territories. Brahmin could not enter the territory of a Kshatriya, the Shudra could not enter the territory of a Brahmin, could not eat food, should not be doing any other work except the lowly work that had been given to the Shudra, and they were made to stick on to that caste system for centuries, for ages. So here the poet says that we want a country where the world has not been broken up into fragments. We don't want the world to be broken up into the states, various states that were being made in India at the time of partition. Initially, there were princely states in India, and when partition happened, there were various states that were divided by the government of India, and India was divided on the basis of those states, and those were called the borders. So he says that let not India be broken up into narrow domestic walls. The literal meaning of domestic walls here is the country should not be divided on the basis of the maps, on the basis of the territories, and the literal meaning is the people should not be divided mentally on the basis of casteism, on the basis of high class, low class, on the basis of money, on the basis of religion, on the basis of the vices and the personal prejudice that a person has in his or her mind. So the division should not be there. And these narrow domestic walls, they inhibit progress, they inhibit mental progress, they inhibit development. That is the reason why the world should not be broken up into narrow domestic walls. And then he says, where words come out from the depth of truth, let India be a country where nobody lies for anything. Let India not be a country which is full of scams. Let India be a country where everybody speaks the truth, where everybody talks to each other without hiding anything. We have nothing to hide. We have everything to share. The goodness around us will extend more and more only when we speak the truth, only when we talk from our heart, only when we have nothing to hide. And that is how we build good relationships with our neighbors, with our friends, with the people, with our fellow mates, whosoever is staying in that country. So where the words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Here he says that in order to build India as the golden sparrow once again, we need to put in a lot of effort, and our effort should be tireless. We should never be getting tired by the effort that we are putting in. Tireless striving, stretching its arms towards perfection. Here again a symbolic meaning. where when we work together tirelessly, endlessly in making India the golden sparrow, or in making India the developed country once again, our arms would be stretched towards perfection. Tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. India will be a perfect country only when everybody works together night and day, where everybody puts in the best of their efforts, so that slowly and steadily we start moving towards perfection and we achieve a perfect world, or the perfect country once again. And then where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. It's a very important aspect that Rabindranath Tagore is talking of here. He says, here again, imagination, imagery is there, and symbolism is also there. Here you can notice that the author is trying to say the clear stream of reason. Now, a stream of water, have you seen a stream of water passing its way from in between the rocks, from above the rocks, from the sand, from the mud, from everything that comes in its way, but the water still keeps moving on. And it's a clear stream of water that moves on. So he says our mind, the thought process of the mind, is like that clear stream of water. And that clear stream of water should not become muddy, should not be spoiled. When the clear stream of water reaches a desert, what happens? It loses its identity. That clear stream of water is not there anymore. It is coming, it has been coming through its way. The moment it reaches the sand soaks up the water and it forgets, or it actually loses its own identity. So that is how it is. That our mental thought process is like the clear stream of water, and that clear stream of water should not lose its identity by getting influenced by the wrongs that have been there in the society. Or just the way the clear stream of reason loses its identity the moment it enters the stream, our thought process should not be influenced by the vices that are present in the society. They should not overpower our mental thought process. And what are these vices that the author is talking of? One of the vices is the sati pratha. The sati pratha in India had been there since times immemorial, and it was a very bad pratha in which the wife had to burn herself on the funeral pyre of the husband when the husband used to die. So a wife's life was restricted only till the time the husband was living. The moment the husband died, the wife also had to burn herself up and jump into the funeral pyre and also give away her life. The right to life, the right to freedom, the right to existence had been denied to the women in India. And this was Raja Ram Mohan Roy who brought an end to the sati pratha. And that is what Rabindranath is quoting here, that these vices in society should not be able to influence our clear thought process, that is moving towards development, that is moving towards progress, so that these vices do not overpower our thought process and we are able to think logically, we are able to think with a lot of developmental thought, and we deny these vices of the society that have been there since times immemorial. So, and then he says, where the mind is led forward by thee here refers, it means you, but here it refers to God. And he is placing himself in the hands of God. He's placing his country in the hands of God. And he's saying that whatever we do, whatever we are able to progress, however we are able to do a particular thing in life, we should be governed by you. Our mind should be led forward by thee. Our mind should be led forward by you into ever widening thought and action. Our thoughts and actions should be progressive, should be ever widening. Our thoughts should not be restricted. They should not be hindered. They should not be hampered by the vices of society, by the discrimination, by the casteism, by the borders that we draw in the mind, and literally by the discrimination that we have on the basis of religion, on the basis of money, on the basis of casteism, on the basis of region, on the basis of color, on the basis of creed. All these should be left behind, and our thought process should be ever widening, should be increasing every day. into thoughts and then put into actions, because our ultimate aim of life is to progress. Our ultimate aim is to make our country the golden sparrow once again. And he says that under your guidance, God, our thought and actions should be becoming more and more progressive into ever widening thought and action into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. So it is an earnest prayer that when my country gets freedom at the stroke of midnight, it should be a utopian world. It should be a heavenly feeling, a perfect world where people don't lie, where they are progressive, where we share knowledge, where we speak the truth, where we walk with our head held high, where we are not embarrassed, where we don't discriminate, where our clear stream of reason, it doesn't lose its way, where everybody works together, and ultimately we achieve perfection and we are able to make India the golden sparrow once again. And that was the dream that Rabindranath Tagore had in his mind about India, and he wanted to achieve that dream.